Hello and welcome to this workshop on how to simplify your holiday season and beat the overwhelm. Right now, you could be entertaining low expectations, meaning that you could be sort of resigning yourself to go through another holiday season feeling a little bit disappointed, a little bit set aside, like not living how you want to be living your holiday season. You could be slipping into thinking that, oh, I'll just put myself on autopilot. I'll just put on cruise control so that I make sure to get everything done that is expected of me, forgetting yourself in the equation. Let's change that this year. My name is Katrina Horn. I'm a life coach and dream life designer, meaning I help my clients define and design their dream lives. So what I'll be sharing today is obviously about this holiday season, but you can really take it and transfer it onto any other area of your life. So right now, if you're here live, I would love for you to rate on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being completely disillusioned, not expecting to enjoy the holidays, and 10 being, it's the best thing ever. Where are you on that scale from 1 to 10? How do you feel about the upcoming holiday seasons? Or if you've already started it, how do you feel? So on a scale from 1 to 10, tell me, how are you feeling? 1, disillusioned, 10, brilliant. Yes, so I've got a 3, a 4, got a 7, right? We got 3, 3, and 2, right? So I would call that pretty low expectations. And the thing is with expectations, when we set high expectations, we could get really disappointed unless we trust ourselves to have our own backs. And that is what I'm going to be talking about today. When we set high expectations and have our own bags, like when we trust ourselves to make sure that we get what we want, that we take care of our needs, well, then we can trust ourselves to have those high expectations, knowing that they will be realized, right? If we look for what's bad, we will find it. If we look for what's good, we will find it. But before we start looking, let's define what it is we're looking for. So here we'll be looking to set priorities, have boundaries in place to protect them so that you can have the high expectations. And by high expectations, I would like for you to think about what you want the holidays to be about. So if you're with me on that, let's just dive in. Feel free to interrupt at any point. I'll just go ahead and share my screen. I'd set it up, but I pressed the wrong button. So let me just take you through my slides right here. And moving along, what I'm going to talk about today is my solution, because you might be thinking that the solution to your overwhelm, your holiday overwhelm, your stress, the stress you're perhaps already feeling, is to be more efficient so that everything will fit into your calendar. That is quantity, right? Thinking the more I manage to do, the better I will feel, or other people will be feeling, the people whose expectations you're trying to manage, right? Whereas the real solution is really to focus on your enjoyment, because that is the quality. And when I say your enjoyment, of course, you can include your family's enjoyment, your friends, people you're visiting, people who are visiting you, but really focus on the enjoyment more than on how much food, how many activities, how many gifts, and all of that. So that is what we're setting ourselves up in today's workshop for. So I'll be sharing 3 exercises to support you in prioritizing and in upholding those priorities so that you get to protect your expectations and not give in to guilt or overwhelm. So you are deciding ahead of time, that's what I call design, how you want to feel, what you want to experience, knowing that doing everything will perhaps not be possible, so you will have to prioritize. So this will save you the money you'll not be spending buying gifts out of obligation. It'll be saving you the time you'll get back by not attending parties or gatherings you'd rather not attend. The brain space that will not be spent on that one family member's drama, and you know the one. It will save you the fatigue you will not be feeling from hurrying around to get everything on your long to-do list done in time. It will save you the energy you won't be spending worrying and spinning out about what your sister-in-law thinks of your table decorations or something equally unimportant. The brand new dress you won't have to buy for the party you don't even want to go to. The excessive food you won't be making to please everybody, and the long hours after party cleanup you won't be doing alone, or perhaps even not at all. What you'll be getting instead is the peace and calm. The peace and calm that comes from having made deliberate decisions about what you want for your holiday, what you want it to look like and feel like. The presence that will be available to you when you're not rushing around. The connection you'll feel with the loved ones because you're focusing on what really matters. The people, like the feelings, the connection, and not the things. And the satisfaction you'll feel because you've been intentional about how you spend your precious time and your resources, meaning energy and money. And the joy that comes from not damaging your most precious relationships because you're people-pleasing people who aren't as important to you. Right? So when we are people pleasers, I used to be a professional one, so I really know what I'm talking about. We think we have to please everybody, which is just craziness because we can't please everybody. So we have to choose, who do I want to please? So if you're a people pleaser like me, it's really difficult just to focus all of a sudden on yourself and try to please yourself. But at least for this holiday, could you start thinking about, well, who is it actually that is most important to me? And how can I please them? So when your boss asks you to stay late one night at work, you can feel empowered to tell him, well, actually, I'm going home because my children have made, I don't know, have cooked me a dinner or are expecting me to come and spend time with them. Like you've got a priority in all of that. So instead of going like zero people pleasing, you've actually got that middle ground that is so useful when we're practicing, right? Maybe you were part of my people pleasing challenge this autumn, but if you weren't, just know that we need to keep practicing us people pleasers, right? It's a constant reminder we need to keep practicing so that we become good at it. It's difficult to become good at something without practicing and without being willing to get it wrong. So if you've got any questions, any comments, please use the chat freely. I'd love to know what you are thinking. So let's just all calm down and think about, well, what is really important? This is what I'll be supporting you with, 3 exercises. So the first one is about prioritizing, not on volume, not on that quantity I was talking about, but on the quality. So you're going to prioritize based on your enjoyment value. Then you're going to set boundaries and decide how to uphold them. Boundaries that will help you keep your priorities in place. And setting, as a third exercise, is a very high expectations that we need in life to fuel our joy. Expectations about how we show up for the holidays, expectations about how we want to feel, not other people's expectations, right? So that we can create the holidays we really want. So please take everything I say with a pinch of salt, meaning that I'm going to suggest a lot of things, and perhaps, or most certainly, not everything is possible for you. So please feel free to pick and choose whatever speaks to you, what you think, oh, I could put this into place, or this will be useful, or that will support me. So you just pick what's relevant to you and what you feel comfortable doing. I'm going to be very challenging, and it could be too much for you. So always just feel free to dial it back, right? You don't have to go full out. You don't have to do everything I suggest. Like, I'm pretty radical because this year, just an example from my life, we're going to spend Christmas. We celebrate Christmas. We're going to spend it with my in-laws. So first, I suggested they come to us, but then that was found not amenable to everybody. So we're going to my in-laws, and my husband's brothers and sisters are going to come there too. So that's one plan. Knowing that, I thought, oh, this won't be my favorite Christmas of all times, because I'll be sitting there for a long time. I'll be cooking a lot. I'll be cleaning a lot. So how can I make this the best ever Christmas for me? So a while back in October, actually, I went ahead and got myself 2 tickets for La Scala, the opera in Milan, Italy. I got myself 2 tickets, one for my sister and one for myself, because I won't be seeing my sister over Christmas, as I'll be with my in-laws, and she'll be celebrating Christmas with her large family at home. So I'll be seeing her just before Christmas, next week, actually. I will be going to the opera together. I will be taking in the sights in Milan. We'll be going to all the exhibitions, looking at the shops, and I'm sure it's going to be magical. So I made sure that I would have an extraordinary experience in December, if you see what I mean. So I feel when I get back from Milan, I'm sure I feel as if I've already had my most excellent Christmas. You see what I mean? Like, I've made sure that my needs are met ahead of time, right? Because I don't know whether they'll be met during Christmas. So what was in my control was to book that trip ahead of time. Like, so I'm setting myself up for success, I call it. So I booked the thing in, so I was sure to get some joy and elation and connection, right? And then I'm willing to adjust my expectations for what follows, right? Doesn't mean that I'm just going to sit back and let everything happen, but I'm very aware that this might not be the Christmas I dream about. Also, just to honor myself and my desires, I'm going to get myself a Christmas tree. Like, nobody else will be enjoying it. Like, my husband is not a fan of Christmas trees, but I am. I love putting real lights on them. I love watching them burn. I mean, the lights, not the tree. I love decorating and having it around and smelling it. So that's just a must for me. So I feel that I'm taking very great care of myself. Also, as a last reflection, as we're going to my in-laws, who are elderly people, I will be sitting down for a long time. Like, they can't really go for long walks anymore. We'll be sitting down, we'll be talking, we'll be eating, that kind of thing. So I thought, sitting down all that time, I will feel like getting up and doing things. But how can I actually make sure that the time I do spend sitting down feels good to me? Oh, I know. I could be knitting something. So I've already prepared a jumper to knit. I've already started. So I know that sitting through long hours over the holidays, I can be knitting away and getting really excited about that, participating in a conversation, of course, but not feeling frustrated for just sitting there. you see what I mean? Yeah. So, sorry. So knowing what is likely to happen, I'm setting myself up for success. Like I'm taking preemptive action, if that speaks to you. Love to know if that makes sense. So the outcomes from this workshop will be that you'll know how you want to spend the holiday season, and you'll have the tools to stay on track. In other words, to make sure that that is what is going to happen. So I want to feel yourself to be empowered, that you've got everything you need to ensure your enjoyment during the holidays. Does that make sense? Please say yes or no in the chat. Are you with me on this? Wouldn't it be lovely? Wouldn't it be lovely if you thought back to, oh, that was the Christmas 2023, where I actually paid more attention to how I felt than to how much I got done. Like, that could be really blazing for a lot of people, couldn't it? Right? That was a Christmas when I stopped living up to other people's expectations. Think about it. Right. So we'll be moving over to the workbook. If you're here live, you don't actually need it because I'm going to share my screen with it. If you're watching the replay, with the replay, you will have gotten the workbook. So jump back to the email with the replay and download the workbook if you so wish. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will have posted a link to the workbook somewhere below here, below the video. But as I said, if you're here right now, let's just get on with it. Let's just dive in deep. So the workbook, the first thing I want you to do is to define a feeling you want to cultivate over the holidays. And I'd love for you to share it in the chat. It sounds crazy, really, when you say, oh, define a feeling. Well, I don't know what I'll be feeling, do I? It depends on the people who are there, on what we're doing and what I'm doing, what we're talking about. Yes and no. If you really get intentional about feeling peaceful as much as possible, or joyful as much as possible, your subconscious will be working on it for you. It will be scouring everything around you, and it will be extracting that joy, that peace, whenever possible. So you are, in fact, dialing in your subconscious to scour your environment, your experiences, for whatever it is you want to be feeling. That is part of setting your expectations. So please go ahead in the chat, tell me what you want to be feeling over Christmas. Yeah, so you also said peaceful. Yes, get it. Happy. Happy. It could be many things. So that's happy. Anything else? What you want to be feeling? Connection, yes. Friendship, yeah. Friendship, and I think many of us want to feel that belonging. Like, I've got so many memories from my Christmases growing up in Denmark. In Denmark, Christmas is really, really big. So I had very big expectations of it, and they were mostly satisfied. So what did I want to say? I was commenting on feelings. Yes, so I can't remember. Lost track. But yeah, what I want to say is that belonging. So being abroad, I don't get the same vibes at all around Christmas. In France, where I live now, Christmas is just like Easter in Denmark, like not a big thing. I mean, of course, retail is a big thing, but like the traditions and all of that is not so big. So I'm creating all of that myself. Like, so I'm thinking, I want to feel as if I really belong here with my Christmas tree, right? I want to feel as if I really belong in my husband's family. I want to create that kind of feeling, right? Joyful, intentional. Yes, you'll be using that intention here. let's get going. The first exercise I want you to dive in the workbook is an exercise that will help you prioritize your enjoyment. And I put in a few examples here, like some of my activities over the next 2 or 3 weeks will be baking, buying gifts, and hosting. So go ahead, if you're watching the replay, put me on pause, and in the workbook, list all your activities such as gift wrapping, visiting, driving people around, whatever it is you do extra over the holidays. Whatever it is you do extra, that you don't do every day, like you don't have to say go to work or get up and stuff like that. Anything that's extra. Good and bad, things you enjoy, things you don't enjoy. What could it be? Cooking, food shopping, just go ahead, make a whole long list. If you're here live, maybe you've got 2 or 3 things. So if you can't think of anything, just go with this and you can come back to it later. But I put in baking, buying gifts, and hosting to keep it simple. So when I look at these activities, I work on a scale from 1 to 10, determine the value of it. So 1 being, I actually don't enjoy doing this at all, and 10 being, this is the best thing ever invented for the holidays. And so baking, I rated at 8, buying gifts at 6, and hosting, meaning having people come around, 10. So this pretty much says something about my priorities, right? So with these 3 examples, I would prioritize hosting, then baking, then buying gifts. See what I mean? So please go ahead and do the same. So what I'm suggesting is not that you don't buy gifts, but you could not buy gifts if buying gifts gets a 2. Right? There's nothing you have to do. If other people expect a present from you, they can go ahead and expect it, right? You might not deliver. So on that score, I was called away for a week to Denmark just at the end of November. And normally I would be baking and I would be making hampers with lots of delicious food stuff from the south of France that I'd be sending around to friends and family as a sort of Christmas hamper. And that was really a joyful activity for me. But as I was called away to Denmark urgently for a week, I decided not to do that. Simply not do it, because if I had to fit it in, it would have been fitted in having me feel stressed out, perhaps, if that's possible, or like hurried or rushed. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it with the same attention and good feelings. So I just took it off my plate. I'm not doing it. And I'm not even telling people that they're not getting a hamper. They're just not getting it. So if they're expecting it, I mean, tough luck, right? Tough luck. I can do that. Maybe you can't do that. So please don't try, right? I can do it because I've been practicing for many years. But if you really feel it's a big, big problem, if you don't gift somebody something, then please consider that, right? If you feel ready to not buy somebody a gift because, well, you can't be bothered or it's not a priority, please go ahead. You have got my blessing, right? Feel into it for you. Really don't push yourself over the limit, right? You can expand your comfort zone, but please don't make this hugely scary or create some consequences you can't live with. But knowing that these are my values, I want to take the activity that I rated the highest, which is hosting, and then I want to estimate how long this is going to take. And then I'm going to add 30% more time than I estimated. So an example would be, let's take baking. So if I estimate my baking to take 2 hours, 30% of 2 hours is roughly, I think, 40 minutes. I would add these 40 minutes into my schedule, and I would put all of that into my schedule. Like, I would schedule the time I was going to bake. I would add the extra time. And in order to be able to bake, I would need to go and do some food shopping ahead of time, or order it, or have the thing come to my house, right? So there's some prep work that I need to schedule in too. So with my hosting, for instance, which is a top priority to me, I know that that is going to take, we've got neighbors round on Sunday. It's going to take at least 6 hours. They're going to stay for at least 6 hours. So let me just count 8. Then have me take a look at what I need to prepare to host, add all that up, and fit that into my schedule. So come Sunday, I'm totally cool because I've got the time to do everything. There is no rush. There is no stress, right? If there is stress, it's because somebody got ill or something went wrong, right? But I've really scheduled in everything and then some, because it's so important for me not to feel rushed. And I really want to be inviting people to my home, feeling good about everything about it. So when I feel good about organizing it, when I feel good about hosting, I think I'm at my best, and then I can be at my best with my guests. I'm sure this makes perfect sense in theory, but I'm really inviting you to go ahead and prioritize. So you take all the things you've listed, you take the highest valued item, activity, and you schedule it in with all the preparation time you need and add 30%. So if you do this systematically, there might come a time when there's no more room in your calendar. Nothing more will fit in. So this is a little bit of a difficult moment, because once you've put everything into your scheduler and there's no more room, then you have to say goodbye to the activities that didn't fit in, right? There's no way you're going to fit it in. If you want to focus on your own enjoyment, this is what there was space for. The rest you can leave out. There's always a solution. So if you didn't fit in the cooking, well, maybe you'll be having takeaway for Christmas, right? Maybe you could set up somebody to come and cook for you, or maybe you could find some easy online, whatever solution for you, right? And you'll be saying goodbye to the traditional meal, perhaps. You'll be saying goodbye to what people are expecting you to serve, right? And again, please just stretch your comfort zone a little bit. Don't go overboard. Make sure you can live with the consequences of your actions. So how would it feel when everybody started milling into your dining room, sitting down for what they thought would be a Christmas or whatever holiday dinner, and found a takeaway? How would they take that? Right? Could you prepare them ahead of time? I think it's a wonderful opportunity, this example, really, of enlisting help, like saying to people ahead of time, look, I've made my schedule for the holidays. I can't fit in the cooking. Have you got a suggestion? And maybe people can bring stuff, right? Maybe you can do a little bit of cooking, like minimal cooking, and people could bring the rest. There are always solutions, right? Start getting creative, but make sure you could live with whatever it is you decide. Can you live with the consequences? This is a time really to normalize your negative emotions, because doing something differently can feel hugely scary. And that can be okay, right? Are you willing to feel whatever it takes? Saying to people, look, we won't be eating our traditional meal, or look, I won't be coming to your party, or look, I won't be gifting you anything. What is a feeling that comes up? And are you willing to feel that feeling? Are you willing to feel it ahead of time? If you're not willing to feel that feeling ahead of time, just don't consider doing it, right? Because this is what you will be feeling. And this could be why you are living up to other people's expectations. It could be why you're people pleasing. It could be why you feel you have to do everything you need to do. But I'm hurrying on to exercise number 2, where we are setting some boundaries, some well-needed boundaries, and deciding how to uphold them. I don't like enforcing them, but to uphold them, to respect them, to nurture them, right? So in exercise 2, make a list of all the things and people that could come between you and doing the activities on the list you made previously. So I'm going back to the list of the activities. Also, list the things and people that could prevent you from cultivating the feelings you want to be cultivating. And let me give you an example, and I'm going to ask you to put into the chat your own examples. Have a look at this. What could prevent you? Criticism from Uncle Herbert or husband or children or mother or whoever. A work emergency could prevent me doing those activities, or a lack of sleep. Right? What could come between you and doing the activities you set out to do? Tell me in the chat right now. Any inspiration? What can we think of? What could possibly money? Yeah, but then money is a little bit foreseeable. Like you can ask your bank how much money you've got now, right? Now I'm thinking about things that you can't control. I would argue that how much money you've got is something you can control. Something you can't control. Like you can't stop Uncle Herbert or your husband or your children or your mum from criticizing you, can you? Like that is not a boundary. I'm going to talk about that later. You can't really control what emergencies happen at work. Right? And some would argue you can't control your lack of sleep. But let's have a look at that. So what would be some of the things that would stand between you and doing exactly what you put down on the pages before this? Weather. Yeah, you can't control that either. Okay, but you could have an emergency plan. All right, maybe you live in an area where there's lots of snow. All right. Yeah, I know it's so annoying when the weather prevents us from doing something. But then I think in Germany, they say there's no bad weather, only inadequate clothing. I like to think of that. So what I'm going to ask you now is to find a thought and or behavior substitute. So instead of letting criticism from Herbert prevent you from cooking the food you want to cook, you could be thinking, I'm doing my best, which is far from perfect. I love that thought for myself. I use it frequently. I'm doing my best. I'm totally aware that it's not perfect and other people could do it better, but this is my best in the present situation, right? If I've got 2 hours to bake, well, this is what it's going to look like. Had I had 4, it might have looked differently. You see what I mean? You could also be thinking, well, when people criticize me, I'm thinking, oh, maybe he's just got a different way of doing it. So he's just really surprised that I'm doing it this way. So it's not really a criticism of who I am. It's just like we do 2 things, or we do the same thing differently. You can even ask, you could say, well, how would you do it? Right? It's easy to criticize, not so easy to do it. Let them do it, the criticizers. With a work emergency, what could you be thinking and doing? I would think and cultivate the thought that I don't need to prove my worth by being always available. Now, this is something I work with my clients on constantly, because we've somehow got the memo that we need to be available at all times to do all things, right? How did that happen? We can say no. We'll be going into that. So what I choose to do in no way defines my worth. Also, I can remind myself of my priorities. So if I say yes to staying late at work and say no to spending time that evening with my children. What are your priorities? Work, children. Ask yourself that. Also, I like to look at other possibilities, other solutions. Like, we think it's either or. Either I stay late at work and disappoint my children, or I disappoint work and I get to gratify my children. So how can I help out at work without sacrificing? How can I help out? Maybe that could be, yeah, I can't stay late tonight, but I can come in half an hour earlier tomorrow, an hour earlier tomorrow. Right? Try and find alternative solutions. That is always a good place to bring your mind. Oh, it's not either or, it's not black or white. There's something in between. Lack of sleep. So this is sort of preemptive behavior. You could set your timer to 10 p.m. when you will be getting ready to go to bed consistently. Set your timer. Also, before bed, you could write down all your worrisome thoughts on the paper and then leave them there, so that you can tell yourself, going to sleep, it's all down on paper. I can return to it tomorrow. Let me not put those thoughts back into my mind. They're out of my mind and onto paper. You could be playing soft music till you go to sleep. Doesn't that feel good? Like, you could put a lot of protection around your sleep, which requires some self-loving discipline, like going to bed or getting ready for bed at 10 p.m. to be at sleep, perhaps at 11 or 10:30, I don't know. But really enforcing that, really upholding that for yourself could be really, really, could really change everything, couldn't it? So think about it. How do you operate when you've had enough sleep? Like, when you think of yourself as a machine, which you're not, but if we just think about ourselves as that machine, how can we take care of that machine to such an extent that it functions optimally? And I would argue that sleep would be one of them. So how can you function optimally is really a different way of putting it. Exercise number 2 still, I want you to go into your firm nose, which is about setting boundaries. What are you not willing to do? What are you not willing to tolerate? Over drinking, working overtime, or people pleasing the wrong people, right? Let's have a look at that. So an example from over drinking would be, before a party, I will decide on exactly how many glasses I'll be drinking. So that is about defining ahead of time exactly what you want to do. When somebody offers me more, I simply say no. And the people who can't accept you saying no to alcohol is simply misguided, right? You don't have to blame them, shame them, feel resentful. It's just no, right? And then I want to say something. No, I think I'll put that later. So moving on, working overtime, your firm no could be, no, I'm not working overtime coming up to the holidays or after the holidays in the holiday period. So when tempted to stay late, because people put a lot of pressure on you, you can remind yourself that you're saying no to staying late. So, oh, Stacey, can you stay late. Oh, no, I can't. Right? Working overtime. Think about what you'll be saying no to. So that's family time, perhaps relaxation, going to bed early, all of those gorgeous things. Firm no to people pleasing the wrong people, right? If you're a reformed people pleaser like me, or you're still practicing, we can't prevent ourselves from sometimes people pleasing, but let's not people please people we don't care about. So before you go into the people pleasing, ask yourself, how important actually is this shop assistant to me, right? Or how important is the dentist assistant to me, right? Do I really need to conform, right? Or can I just say no? How is it safe to say or to be myself? How is it safe? Come up with ways and reasons and why it's perfectly safe to be yourself. And what would it look like? What if I just went ahead and was myself? What would that be like? So also I'm inviting you, and the answer could be no, but think about what relationships are you willing to risk by upholding a boundary? Like if you found out that actually buying presents was not your thing, it was 2 on your value list, and you gave it a value of 2, like almost no enjoyment, like negative enjoyment, if you can have that. Would you be willing to risk somebody being really, really angry with you for that, like risking the relationship? Would you be willing to do that? Think about it. Think about the consequences. And are you willing? Can you live with them? How will it make you feel? Like risking your relationship with your sister-in-law because you didn't get her a present. How will that make you feel? But again, are you willing to feel this and live with the consequences? And if the answer is no, just cross out that boundary so that you don't spend energy thinking you have to uphold it. You're just not ready. You might be ready later, but right now, you're not ready to feel that whatever emotion comes up when you think about not gifting your sister-in-law something. So you can just think, okay, let me bring on the resentment, feeling angry, misunderstood. I think many of us don't want to feel misunderstood, but if we can just have that be okay to feel misunderstood, forget about normalizing negative feelings. Could you feel sad, guilty, or disappointed? Right? When people overstep your boundaries, that is what you're resolving to do. When you are avoiding feeling an emotion. So I don't know whether I'm being clear. Let me know in the chat. If you say, okay, I don't want to feel the angst of not gifting my sister-in-law a present. Don't want to feel her angry. I don't want to disappoint her. I don't want to feel responsible for her disappointment, which of course you're not. But I'm not willing to feel that. You're saying yes to having people cross your boundaries and to feeling all the other negative emotions when people do cross your boundaries, right? So you're going to feel negative emotion at some point. Do you want to feel it immediately, or do you want to postpone it, really, right? When we say no to people, we are saying yes to feeling fear, perhaps, to feel misunderstood, to feel guilty in the moment. But then we're saying yes to not having to feel those negative feelings when people cross your boundaries, right? We're saying yes to not having to deal with negative emotion later. We're just putting the moment forward when we are feeling those negative emotions. That will be there at some point. So just remember that your boundaries have got nothing to do with other people and everything to do with you. You can't actually change people's behavior. You can only change or decide how you react. So a boundary is not saying, don't leave your things on the kitchen counter. It drives me crazy. That is not a boundary. That is an order. A boundary looks like this. If you leave your things on the kitchen counter, I'll put them in this drawer. When it's full, I'll clear it out and throw out its contents. That's a boundary. Do you see the difference? So a real boundary is about you and what you will do in case a boundary is violated. It's not telling people what to do. Let me know if that was clear. Right. Last exercise. So again, pick and choose what you want to try out this year. And as I said, all of this, you can transfer that to any other time of year, any other area of your life. I want you to feel the magic of the holidays. Like I keep saying, I was born in Denmark. Christmas is a big thing in Denmark. I love everything about it. The gifts, the lights, the people, the good food, all of that. I love it. So think about your expectations. Have you got any expectations of the magic? Diving into the magic of your holidays. Could be focusing on people and creating connections. Maybe you haven't seen your grandmother for yonks, and maybe this is an opportunity to reconnect with her. Family members you don't see very often, or friends, or spending time with your children. It would be magical for me to feel the peace in my body, feel peaceful in my body, really like, there's no rush. Oh, this is good. And what is really important to me is to get enough alone time. I don't feel good for a long time if I'm in company all of the time. So it would be magical for me over Christmas if I got some alone time. So what is it for you? What would be magical for Christmas? Don't say something like having nobody fight, because that is out of your control, right? You can't control other people. Make sure it's up to you. Then what would be unacceptable? So instead of the magic of focusing on people and creating connection, thinking what's next would be unacceptable for me where I am now. I don't want to have a permanent to-do going on in my brain, taking me out of the present moment and thinking, what's next? What's next? Right? What do I have to accomplish next? What do I have to do next? No, let me be here with the people. It's now or never, right? This moment is here now. I'm not thinking about the next. I'm not thinking about the previous. I'm here now. Do you see what I mean? So feeling peaceful in my body, the unacceptable thing here would be to give into stress and focus on the things. Like, is this perfect? Did I prepare this well enough? The things like the presents, the decorations. No. I'm very happy to spend time on the decorations, but I don't want to feel stressed out about them. Right? That is so different. So focusing on things, if I'm focusing on things around me, I'm thinking, you're going out of what you wanted. You're going out of feeling the peace. And getting enough alone time. If I go into thinking that I have to be there for everybody and I have to take care of their needs, that is a definite no, unacceptable for me. And again, I'm making it all about me, right? Not about other people. So I can't say it's unacceptable for Uncle Bob to argue with Auntie Stella, right? Out of your control. What is good enough? Because as we're all works in progress, I won't get it right all the time. So what is good enough? Well, what is good enough for me is if I'm speaking with people, I'm trying to create a connection. If I start going out of that connection, I can remind myself just to listen to people, bring myself back and listen. Just listen. Not listen to respond, but listen. If I'm not feeling peaceful in my body, I can at least be feeling peaceful when I take a moment to relax, to bring back the peace into my body. let me sit down and relax and really feel the peace. Also, taking 30 minutes before going to bed for myself is much better. It's in fact good enough, better than not taking any time at all. Might not be enough every day, but it's pretty amazing. Do you see what I mean? So there are varying degrees, like we can entertain high expectations, and then we can have our own backs by setting in or putting in place boundaries and prioritizing so that they're there to support our expectations, right? Upholding them. So I want to have some thoughts and actions ready to cultivate the magic. I'm at my best when I get enough sleep. I'm not the only one who can do it. People love to help, right? I don't have to do all the cooking. People love to help. I can ask, could you do this, please? And then I can also put plenty of white space in my diary, right? Makes sense. So I want you to celebrate the magic. Again, it's all in the workbook. If I go to bed early, I can go ahead and buy myself a cappuccino in the morning. Like reward. Oh, I did something for myself. I upheld a boundary. I was aware of my priorities. Oh, let me celebrate that. Also, I'll graciously accept help and allow myself to extra time to relax. Like if people come to help me, it's not so that I can do a ton load of other stuff. It's also so that I can relax, right? Sit down, rest, relax. Feels so good. Also, every day complete without people pleasing, I get to give myself flowers, right? Why not? Oh, I made it through a whole day without ever going into people pleasing. Let me get myself some flowers. All this is affecting your subconscious. It's helping it shift. It's telling it you'll be rewarded for thinking differently. Try it out, right? It's super motivating for it. Start influencing your subconscious. Dealing with the unacceptable. So that could be when I accidentally say yes, when I mean no, I'll apologize and course correct. So if I say yes to going to a party, I find out that no, it's going to be a time crunch. It's not one of my priorities. I can speak to the person organizing the party saying, I'm afraid I won't be coming. I'm really sorry. I thought I would be able to, but I find I'm not. Bye, right? You don't need to come up with a reason. You don't need to justify. You just need to let them know you're not coming. And that is enough. When you notice you've drunk more than you meant to, you put down your glass even if it's full, right? You don't need to finish your plate. You don't need to drink up. You don't need to do anything. You get to decide. And it's not if you've had a glass more than you thought or that you decided, it's okay to put it down, right? It's okay to have made a mistake. You don't need to go all the way out on the mistake, right? You can stop yourself in time. When I notice I'm giving into stress, I'll stop whatever I'm doing and refocus, even when it's inconvenient, right? And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves by thinking, oh, I have to finish this, I have to finish this, and I have to finish that. Getting more and more stressed out. Well, no, you don't have to finish. It could be inconvenient if you don't finish, but it's actually possible not to finish. Go ahead and don't finish. So let me just recap what we've been doing. First of all, you can be intentional about your priorities and set boundaries to protect them. You get to decide. Other people might have different opinions, but you actually get to decide. Up to you how much you want to take into account other people's opinions. I don't know where you're at in your life. how willing you are to live with the consequences. You must decide for yourself. And you can set the mood of your holiday season by deciding on a feeling ahead of time that you can always return to. You can decide to notice whenever you're feeling this feeling. So with my feeling of peace in my body, I can start noticing it. I can notice it right now. Right? So I hope this made a lot of sense to you. I hope that you are inspired for the holiday season. Hope you're resolved to ditch the overwhelm, to beat it out of your life. That is really one of life's great challenges, I find, in our times, is to not buy into the stress. So that was really what I wanted to share with you. I've got something else for you, which could be your first step, really, to transforming your life, not just your holiday season, but your entire life. I would invite you to book a complimentary session with me, where we will dive in to why it is you are where you are in your life and where it is you want to be. I can show you how you can get there. And that is really what is so empowering, realizing why it is you are where you are. And when we do that, it's not to blame, it's not to shame, it's not to make yourself wrong, it's just to notice. I can show you. When we are doing it, when we're doing life, when we are reacting to life, when we are leading our lives, it's really difficult to see what it looks like from the outside. It's, in fact, impossible. So that's why we invented coaching. It's so that you can get a look at your life from the outside. What is happening really in your life? You can't see that from the inside. You can only see that from the outside. And when you book a session with me, I will show you. I will show you how you got to be where you are and what to do to get out of it and to get to where it is you want to be. So this complimentary session, I call it a consultation because it's really like being at the doctor's. I'm not a doctor, but it's like seeing a doctor who can diagnose what's happened with your health and can give you a remedy. So it involves you coming there with an open mind. It involves you being willing to share. And I'll be listening intently on what you're saying, but I'll be listening even more to what's in between the lines, what you are not aware of. I'll be spotting everything that is opaque for you, everything that you're missing, and I will point it out. And when I point it out, it is so that you can see, you can begin to understand why it is that things are the way they are. Why are you people pleasing? Where has it got you to? And what can you do to stop it? So right now I'm sharing my screen with a place where you can go ahead and schedule a time. So as I mentioned, next week I will be in Milan with my sister, so I won't be able to see you. But I did open up time on Saturday. So please go ahead and schedule a time for whenever it's convenient to you. I'm just putting it in the chat. So if you're here live, please go ahead and schedule your session right now so that you get to choose the most convenient time for you. This is showing in my time zone, but it will automatically adjust to your time zone. So if you are on the Pacific coast of the United States or Canada or whatever other Southern American country, it will give you a lot of night times, but when you scroll down, there will actually be morning times and early afternoon times, right? So please feel free to scroll and find a time that suits you. So when you come to the consultation, you are under no obligation to feel indebted to me, right? I do this all the time. I enjoy meeting people and I believe I can help you. So it takes nothing away from me to give you a lending hand, like to show you, okay, this is what has been happening in your life. this is what you could do about it so that you can get to where it is you want to be. So if you've been a people pleaser, look, you want to stop people pleasing so that you can live your dream life. This is what you could put in place, right? This is what will be happening on that consultation. So please go ahead and book one. Book one while there's available time slots that suit your time zone. And I will be back the week before Christmas, so you can go ahead and schedule then too. So as I said, you will be under no obligation to me. I mean, I will have spent an hour with you. I will have learned something about you. I will have got to know you and you, me. And what could be better than that, really, for creating connection leading up to the holidays? What could be better, really? What could be a better use of my time? I can't think of any. I really can't think of any. So please go ahead if you feel that I could help you see clearer, if I could help you by pointing out a few action steps you could take, if I could really help you solve a big problem, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you benefit from it? Right? Please don't be modest. Please just go ahead, take that first step. It's like the first step of your transformation. Because when you book a consultation for yourself, you'll be spending one hour with yourself, right? You'll be spending 1 hour looking at your life. You'll be spending 1 hour designing a path to your dream life. You'll be spending 1 hour not on something else or somebody else, but on you. How transformative is that? You'll be having an expert look at your life. I mean, how often do you do that? How often do you sit down with somebody qualified who can spot your patterns, who can point out your faulty thinking, right? In the most kind and loving way, I hope, right? When I can point that out to you and you start learning from it, you start seeing the connections, you start seeing the patterns and getting clearer on the transformation possible, what could be more transformative than that? Because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, right? I can help you believe that whatever it is you want is totally possible. I really, in one session, can help you believe that. And I think belief is really the first thing we need to take action. I mean, who wants to take action? Like, let's take dieting. Who wants to go on a diet if they don't fundamentally believe that it will work? Nobody. You'd be crazy to, right? So we can't motivate ourselves to take action if we don't believe. And I think if you don't believe, it's because you've been trying things on your own. You've been trying them and you keep trying the same things. And what could be more demoralizing than keeping doing the same things? I take weight loss as an example because it's sort of very tangible. So you keep doing the same things. You keep not eating carbs. You keep cutting down on calories. You keep binging and you keep punishing yourself. And that is not having you lose weight. But you keep doing it because you think that's how you do it. Now, when you meet up with an expert and she tells you, oh, you don't have to do this, you can do that. Think about how freeing that is, right? Think about your people pleasing. If you suddenly saw what it is you've been doing that is not working, like if you've been forcing yourself, if you've been setting up those boundaries that are ineffective because instead of setting a boundary, you're telling people what to do, you're giving out orders. When you see how that is not working and what you could be doing instead to have it work, when you learn how to set up those effectful boundaries where you say what you will do, right? Not what other people will do, but what you will do. That is an effective boundary. But when you get clear on how to do that, well, then you're trying something new. And then when you try something new, you are ready to start believing again. When you keep doing more of the same things, it's difficult to start believing it will work. But when you do different things, you can believe it will work. And I will help you believe, right? You can borrow my belief till you can believe, I like to say. But even better, I can show you how you can believe. I can show you different thoughts from your own. I can show you what is equally true, because there's always the glass half empty and the glass half full, right? Both are true. Like, where do you focus? So I can shift your focus from the glass half empty over to the glass half full, and then we can fill it up some more, right? That's really the point of the consultation. So if you haven't booked already, please go ahead and do so. I'd love to meet you. If you don't know how to work my online scheduler, just go ahead, send me an email. I'd be delighted to meet up with you. And I really believe I can help you. I really can help you get out of people pleasing, stop the perfectionism, the procrastination, everything that is keeping you stuck. I can help you not think that you're stuck, help you out of stuckness, right? It really is possible, and it really needn't be difficult. Stop doing what's not working and start doing something different that will work, because it's different and you will believe it's working, right? So looking forward to seeing you there. I enjoyed this workshop immensely. I feel that honoring yourself during the holidays is so important, be they summer holidays, winter holidays, family holidays, girls' trips, whatever. It's so important that you give yourself the opportunity to enjoy them to the full. So go ahead, have a lovely holiday season. Bye for now.